but I've given myself an expiration date. You know, I've given myself that expiration date, and I'm by no means trying to play God, but I've given myself 10 years to do what I got to do and to be as successful as I can be, so that I can hopefully leave my children, my family, the people around me, something that they can build off of. The biggest fear in the world that I have is leaving this earth and not leaving anything for anybody. Like, that terrifies me more than anything. So, you know, I was telling her about this expiration date, and she, you know, and for all practical purposes, and she was probably right in doing so, but she was looking at me like I was completely out of my mind.
Baby, tell me what you want now. I'ma always be your gravity. What you need, baby, I'ma hold you. Baby, I'ma hold you down. Baby, I'ma hold you down. Baby, I'ma hold you down. Yeah, hold you down. Yeah, hold you down. Yeah. I guess it's results when you're doing the work. We let it out, we bet it out, set it out, then we search. And if you put it on the line, you know what it's worth. That's why we align like the universe. I'm tripping on the power, on words, a little shortage. I'll always come around. Oh, you know we'll orbit, ministrating, debating with feelings we keep in the storage. And we falling back naturally, we never had to force it. Gazing on the stars, thinking hard how the nights get. There's so many stars out, but there's nothing like this. And when you see me...
What's up, everybody? Welcome to today's episode of Stogies and Scotch, where today we're going to get into a little pool playing. And obviously I got my boys with me. We got Vince right here. We got Daniel and our award-winning mixologist, Austin Lear, who, by the way, made us some delicious old fashions with Howlerhead whiskey, Dana White's whiskey. So Dana, if you're listening, we need to talk. Guys, should we pick out our cigars? Yeah. Let's pick out our cigars.
Indeed.
As these guys pick out the cigars, we're gonna use our new cigar scanner. It's an app that I highly suggest you get. If you're a beginning smoker, the app is really good because you can scan your cigar and it tells you the origin of the cigar, the flavor, the bind, the wrap, and you know, it's just all around. It's good to know what you're smoking, right? And if you're a veteran smoker and you want to just use comparables, the app is good for that as well, because you can scan your cigar and it'll show you all the comparables to that cigar as well. So Cigar Scanner, it's a great app that we actually found out about it at the Cigar and Spirits magazine gala in Newport a couple weeks ago. So I'm gonna go ahead and scan my cigar. So the thing about this app is you have to make sure that you hold your cigar up steady. I don't know if you can see that, but you gotta hold your cigar up steady so that when you scan it, it actually does the match on the wrapper. You can't not scan your cigar without the wrapper, so just make sure you do that. So as I'm looking mine up, Daniel, what kind of cigar are you smoking today?
Sure, I'm smoking a Cuban honey, and this app actually is pretty cool. Tells you everything you want to know about the cigar. This particular cigar is, as far as the strength goes, it's mild. The wrapper is Sumatra. The wrapper color is Claro. The binder is Dominican Republic. Filler is Cuban Seed Dominican, and the master line is Cuban honey. 5 stars.
How about you, Vince?
I'm doing the Fat Bottom Betty. Actually, our buddy Chris turned me on to this one. I really fell in love with them. It's made by Drew Estates. What I like about it, it's one of the infused ones. I like the sweeter. I'm not real big into the spicy or peppery sticks. So I've been really enjoying this one. Kind of same thing. It's got a Nicaraguan binder and filler. What I really like about them, they're handmade. They're not machine made or pressed. So that to me, that's a big deal. I can obviously feel the difference. A lot better draw. I smoke a lot of these, so I'm pretty excited to smoke this one again today.
Right on. Okay. How about you, Austin?
Mine is a Island Prince. It's the lighter of the two. They have a dark and a light. I typically like a lighter smoke personally. This one's medium on the strength. Handmade in Nicaragua. The wrapper is U.S. Connecticut shade. Wrapper color is Claro. The binder is unknown, but it also does say that the filler is grown in Kauai. Handmade and produced by Victor Calvo.
Right on. So what I'm smoking today is the Tabak, and it's Drew Estate cigar. That's something actually I didn't know. I didn't know Drew Estate made these. And I'm a big fan of the cigar. And it's actually one of the best-selling flavor-infused cigars. besides the acid, the natural, and the Kahlua, and the Tabaka Special coffee-infused cigars. It's a fair trade Nicaraguan coffee bean. It's got mocha flavors, and the wrapper is Maduro, and it's handmade. And the strength on this, which is kind of surprising too, is medium. This is a medium cigar, which is crazy because every time I smoke these, I get high as a kite. So, yeah, I don't know how this is going to match with the Howler Head Old Fashioned, but we'll see how that goes. All right, guys, how about some pull? All right, let's take this off. Let's take this off the table.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Stogies and Scotch. My name is Austin Leard. I'm the mixologist. Today, we're going to be talking about Howler Head Whiskey. Howler Head Whiskey is a Kentucky bourbon-based spirit with some banana infusion. This is sponsored by UFC and Dana White, so I look to see big things from this brand. Today, we're going to make an old fashioned. Being that this brand already has some sweetness in it, we're not going to add any additional sugar to it. So it'll be a base of Howler Head Whiskey with a little bit of bitters, with an orange twist. So we're gonna start with the Angostura bitters. Has a little bit of cinnamon and clove to it that's gonna accentuate the banana in the whiskey. We're gonna do 3 dashes of bitters. Then we're gonna add 2 ounces of our Howler Head banana whiskey. Third ingredient in this cocktail is the dilution. It's very important in an old fashioned. So we're gonna add it over ice and stir it. Then we're gonna put this over a fresh, large format clear cube. And garnish with an orange twist. Most important thing of the twist is the oil in the peel, not so much how it looks. So we're gonna expel the oils into the cocktail, a little around the rim. And there is your Howler Head Old Fashioned.
Oh, by the way, let me give a quick shout out. So I had this actually custom made, and this was made by my buddy Stacy Brown. It's actually a wine barrel, a real wine barrel. And when I saw him, he was actually making a chair out of a big wine barrel, and I saw this, and I asked him if he could make me a humidor, and he did. And if you want any information on Stacy and you want to order a humidor, it's custom made. It's really heavy too, right, guys?
Yeah,
This is pretty
solid.
Yeah. That being said, Vince, you want to go ahead and take this and put it on the counter for me while I light my cigar. But Stacy Brown, he's actually from Albuquerque, Rio Rancho, New Mexico, actually, and he made that for me. Stained it, sealed it, cut it, and he made the little platform for it as well, the holder. So, all right, Austin, yeah, I'm gonna let you go ahead and start the game.
Let me mess up the break, huh?
Ooh, nice break.
Oh, man. You didn't see that? Anybody saw that?
I didn't see anything.
What happened? Seriously? we lost already, huh? Okay.
I blame it on the rack.
Okay, start from there. Go ahead.
Here, you go. Whoever's next.
Hey, all right.
So, guys, what's been going on lately?
I don't know, just you can tell everybody goes to social media for their information today. Nobody really takes researching for it, but my biggest thing is all of us are about the same age. Eric, you got us beat by about a decade or so. We've all seen social media and how our way of getting our information has changed over the years, and it makes it hard to kind of believe what we know it to be true anymore. And I think me and Austin were talking earlier about how you get to see these people and these kids who have these extreme talents, and they can pretty much probably outbeat any professional soccer player, basketball player, but we wonder how come they're not going into professional sports. And I think we kind of agreed too, because they can make way more money way quicker by being a social media influencer than actually going out there and working for and that's kind of where I think I personally hate social media, but with the businesses that we're all in, that's where we get our customers from, and that's kind of where the life's going. So we had talked about that earlier. How does it affect your business? Do you feel like y'all use social media a lot for the restaurants that y'all?
Absolutely. I think, as you said, the social media today, you can find just about anything online. And with all of the different outlets of social media, they just keep bringing up more and more. But we've gotten to the point where we have somebody that is solely hired to just do social media for us. Between TikTok and Facebook and Instagram, we track the people that look at it on a daily basis or weekly basis, and by far exceeds any other type of advertisement. Yeah. So whatever your business is it's beneficial to be able to have somebody to utilize it in the proper way to get the biggest outreach and the most out of it, essentially.
Wait, so you actually have someone monitoring doing all that for you?
We do, as a matter of fact.
Well, that would explain why I got blocked. Dropping your name and asking for free food.
You can do that. It's funny too. We talk about the age gap in social media, and it's more of a young person's game these days. But the gentleman who runs our social media is in his 60s, and he is a former photographer for National Geographic. And so he wrote and did pictures for National Geographic, and we were lucky enough to hire this guy before many of the other big players in town went after him, but he does an amazing job for us.
Yeah, I've done the conventional radio and TV, even like paper, and I realized I did the same thing for one of my other businesses. We hired a marketing company as well, and they've been amazing because they know how to attract that attention, make things fun, and do the reels and social media influencers and all that too. And what I like about that is one less stressor, but it's something for them to focus on. But I've noticed over the years, I spend a lot of money just on radio. I'm sure you've done radio. It's expensive. You're paying $60 for 30 seconds, and you never know how it's going. There's really no way to gauge it. Whereas we had talked about with social media, they can actually see what demographic is looking at, how old they are, where they're from, and then you can kind of more market your money better because I haven't done it yet, but you always have that cost per customer acquisition per customer. You always want to make that as low as possible. But nowadays, it's the neat thing about social media is you do one cool video, one reel. That's the best type of advertising you can get there. But in the same respect too, is it's hard to take social media seriously too, because some of the stuff you see on them, like, what do you do with your life? This is where you take an hour out of your day to do that, but that's where things, it's frustrating because like we talked about before, like there's so much skill out there and it's getting wasted because nobody wants to go out there and work for it. We're all of us have business owners, and it's hard to find workers that want to work for the money. Everybody wants the quick fix. They want the big paycheck, and they want the easy money. And I feel that social media has made that where that's almost a given now. It's they want to pay me, but I don't want to work for the money. And you and I were having a discussion just earlier about that too. So.
Well, I mean, and if you think about it too, when you talk about some of the things that go on social media, especially with the younger generation, and listen, even the older generation now, I see so much on some of these platforms that are just about, and we talked about this the first episode a little bit with Lincoln, and kind of the importance of being able to balance it out, right, and use it to our advantage, or when does it become abusive? And I mean, the thing is, I think sometimes you got to moderate yourself. I mean, because our phones have made it so easy for us to become complacent in our own lives, right? Where, before we know, people used to watch TV 8 to 10 hours a day. Now they're on their phones 10 to 13 hours a day.
Our phone tells you your screen time was up 20% last week. I'm like, how the heck did I spend 8 hours a day on my phone? But as you do without noticing, we're so attached to it.
Well, and I think a lot of what happens now in terms of social media is people they gauge their importance on comments and likes, and it's not always, that's not what, I don't feel like that should be the gauge for your, personal gratification, right? I think, if you're doing something, if you're posting stuff that you're proud of and you're good at, and you're trying to promote something that you're really interested in, you're passionate about, that's one thing. But there's a lot of stuff, me personally, that's why I like LinkedIn, because LinkedIn doesn't even allow you to post any nonsense. They'll flag you immediately. And not only will they flag you, they'll take you off, and you can't come back. So you don't see any of the stuff on LinkedIn that you see on Instagram or even TikTok. And not that those aren't good platforms, but I think like there's got to be a balance in how you're using it and how long you're using it, right? I mean, especially, you see these even 8, 10, 11-year-olds running around with phones, and they've got TikTok accounts and what's the other one? There's TikTok.
It's mainly TikTok's the hot one right now. Instagram.
Snapchat, yeah.
Snapchat.
Yeah, so.
It's funny how Snapchat's evolved. Before it was like the sneaky. That's how you stuck around. Now it's more of a mainstream thing too.
Right.
When I laugh because a couple of my guys, they're younger. They're they're in their early 20s, and they don't even text or call the girlfriend. They Snapchat. I'm like, dude, call her. Like, do something. So, but it's funny that how things have evolved already, and it's almost scary in the same respect because it's taking, like you said before, it's taking the thought out of living, because everything is like, how do you do this? You go to Instagram or Facebook and try to figure it out too.
Well, and then you get into this whole, you get so used to being on your phone that even when it comes time to talking to someone in person, you don't even know how to.
Social skills go out the window.
Yeah, for sure. It's like, can I just text you across the room? How about that? I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've been texting my own home and I'm in the room next door. It's like,
you did it the other night whenever we're having sticks, you text Christina.
just come talk to me, But I mean, it really I think it just comes down to having a healthy balance, and understanding how you're utilizing your time. That's the one thing we can't get back. We can't get back our time. And for me, like, I love to be around motivated people. You know what I mean? So I think that with that being said, I like being around people who have aspirations and, right? I love being around people who have dreams. Oh, like-minded people for sure.
We hear that saying, show me your 5 closest friends, I'll show who you are.
Yeah.
You surround yourself with what you're going to be, and you always want to have people that are going to bring you up. And I think one of our group chats, you talked about how many friends you have, but how many people are actually friends. And it's funny that you always see some different stuff on. Now we're still on the topic of social media. Is you start a business, you might get a handful of likes. You do something completely out the wall, you'll get. It's amazing what people's priorities are and what they reward you for. Nobody wants to see you succeed, and the biggest way I've seen it is, when you do Facebook, you can do a story or you can do a post, and you do a post, you might have however many. If you do, it shows you can have hundreds and hundreds of people that will view your story, but how come they're not supporting you? They're watching you, so you wonder, like your text, are they watching you to judge you, to wait for you to mess up, or are they watching you to actually be there and encourage you? I have one of my best friends who lives in North Carolina. We're actually deputies together. Doesn't matter what I say or post, he either comments, texts me. So he wants to see people succeed. That's the type of people you need to surround yourself with. Is don't worry about the people that are watching you to see when you're going to mess up. There was I don't know how true it is, but I saw a thing. It said Albert Einstein, one of the most brilliant people in the world. He had a thing where he's doing a math problem. He did 9 times 1, 9, 9 times 2, 18, goes all the way down, but he gets to 9 times 10, and he puts the number wrong on purpose, and everybody just loses their mind. They're laughing at him. They're just completely getting on him. He's supposed to be a genius. He misses one. He's like, what thing is, y'all didn't focus on the other 9 I got right. You focus on the 1 I got wrong, and that's the problem in our society. People want to see you mess up. They want to see you fail. And it's a sad thing. We should be here and encouraging each other. And that's the bad thing about the media and all. Nobody cares to get things right. It's what they can do to make you look bad. And it's sad because we should be encouraging each other. We should be building each other up.
And it's like I said, there's people out there holding their breath, waiting for you to fail. Make sure they suffocate.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, and honestly, that's the sad part of a lot of what social media does is it gives everybody feels like they have the right to have an opinion or a voice or, so I don't know, man. Like I try to make sure.
Or think their opinion matters. Especially if it's a negative or something, which it tends to be most of the time, or a lot of the time.
And I think everybody should have an opinion, but just because I don't agree with you doesn't mean you're right and I'm wrong. That's the great thing about, especially the country we live in. I can be right, I can feel I'm right, and you can feel you're right. So we have to sit there and argue and hate each other. Everybody has their different opinions.
Right.
But it's like, if I don't agree with you, all of a sudden you're a bigot and you're a horrible person and you're racist. I'm like, why? Because I don't believe what you believe. You know, that's.
And I think it just goes right back. Like, listen, don't you agree? Like, it should just go right back to. Remember what they used to say, and I'm sure you've all heard this. Like, if you don't have nothing nice to say, just don't say nothing at all. Can you imagine what our world would be like if just for 1 week, not even over, one day, everybody minded their own business? Right. Just one day. If everybody minded their own business, you know what I mean?
Well, I know my sister, I wasn't supposed to say. I got smacked in the back of the head by my mom. You know, like, you watch what you say, you respect, and now it's like, oh, he has an opinion. I'm like, yeah, but there's a difference between having an opinion and being disrespectful.
Well, yeah, I mean, and it's kind of look at, like, listen, I mean, I heard, oh, you gonna get that? No. There you go. I was gonna take that.
Take it from you.
You know, it's like I heard about this one time I was having this conversation with these people about LeBron James, right? And they were just ripping him, you know, talking about what a crybaby he is and how he's selfish, he's this and that, right? And how all he thinks about is himself. And I let them talk, I let them go. I was like, all right. And then I was like, yeah, how selfish is LeBron? He's been with the same girl since high school. You've never seen him in the news for anything bad with her. You've never seen him in the news for any, you know, being thrown out of a nightclub, doing drugs, selling drugs, starting nonsense. You never see him on, you know, social media ranting and raving. Every team he's gone to, he's earned that team a world championship, which he's raised the economy in every city he's gone to. He's given players who probably would never have had a chance to even be in the playoffs to have a world championship ring. Yeah, what a jerk, right? How selfish can he be? Starts a college, a charter school for kids that they all attend free, and every single one of them gets a scholarship. What a horrible human being he is, right? And it was funny because when I said that, everybody kind of got quiet. Yeah. And, you know, it's like, before you judge, listen, me and Vince were having this conversation the other night about.
Yeah, you humbled me.
About a fighter.
Yeah.
About a fighter that we won't mention, and Vince was like, I'm not a big fan of his, and I don't like him. I don't like his attitude and this and that. And
I win.
Well, not really. I knocked the 8 ball. But we talked about this fighter, and we talked about what he does on TV to make fights and sell. I mean, no one could deny he's the smartest business athlete in the world. You know, this is a fighter who makes $350 million, not in a season, not in a year, in 23 minutes. You can't be mad at that. And here's the thing, what you don't realize is how much good this guy does in the community, off camera, and what he's done for people, and how he's pulled people literally out of such desperate situations that, you know, suicide was the next option for them. And he's gone to them and changed their whole life with the stroke of a pen. And here's the thing, nobody glorifies that because that's not sellable. That's not what people want to hear, you know what I mean? They want to hear all the drama. And he said, I fooled media years ago and you all believe me. And now you're mad at me because you fell for it. Don't be mad at me. Like I did, and here's the thing, I did what I thought was right to gain the things that I needed to gain. And you can't be mad at that type of, you know, that type of success. I mean, and now it would be different if he walked around and was like that even in his personal life, right? But, you know, I was, again, we were having this conversation and Vince was like, man, I had no idea.
Definitely humbled me because once again, it goes back to you believe what you see in the media, and it's hard to distinguish anything different. And Eric gave me, we talked for a good hour about this particular person.
And my thing is, like, I'm not trying to, you know, and here's the funny
thing. I'm glad you did, though. I'm glad you
I had a conversation, I had another conversation with our cameraman about the same individual. And my thing is, like, look, I'm not trying to sell you on him. I mean, you don't have to like him for whatever reason, but just before you make a judgment, understand, you know, there's two sides to that, right? Because here's the thing, if we make a judgment on someone without getting to know them, then we're no better than the people we're talking about anyway. Because nobody likes to see that on social media, and we can keep that judgment to ourselves, but eventually someone's gonna pull it out of you, and they're gonna say something that's gonna trigger you to say something towards that person, right? Even if you think it's just an opinion or a thought process, I mean, it's always better it's always better to leave the situation better than what you found it. And I don't care if it's a conversation, I don't care if it's being in someone's life, I don't care if it's a job you're supposed to do.
In every aspect of life.
Everything, man. Like, go into it and leave it better than what you found it.
Well, I think people that are in the limelight, they have to create a specific persona that the public wants to see, even though it's not them. And maybe it comes from a publicist or an agent saying that you need to put on this persona so you get more social media representation, and people want to see this. People want to create news and rumors or
Create a scandal to get more, to bring you back in the
Exactly.
limelight.
Yeah, that's the way
Create a scandal.
society is.
And that's just the way it is. I mean, and the unfortunate thing about that is that, sometimes, that can all turn around and bite you, right? I mean, look, there's a fighter in the UFC that does it, and, he does it better than anybody right now, and he's paid the price, because he's been beat up in nightclubs, he's been attacked he goes to fights to be a fan, and he ends up getting attacked. But to the people who know him personally, say, we don't understand, because he's the nicest guy in person, but now he's one of the highest paid. Now, the other side of that is, yeah, he's taking some risk and he's catching all this flag, but he's also now one of the highest paid UFC fighters in the business.
Trying to go life for himself, but it's that give and take too. It's like,
That-
where
yeah.
you want to give
You
up
get to that from
be
somewhere.
there.
The way things are on social media right now, it's like, becoming, unless you have a balance in the platform of what you're talking about, right? Like being able to kind of decipher all the good from the bad. Like, I mean, I know all of you guys are on social media. So, I mean, tell me about some stuff you guys have seen that you're just like, I mean, why? I don't care if it's from an individual, someone you know. Oh, I know you. Here.
I got a pet peeve. My main pet peeve is with people, especially on Facebook, and I noticed this especially during this last election, and it's really with any kind of subject, is people. The main thing is their lack of critical thought skills, not understanding their own biases, understanding other people's biases. You know what I mean? How deep rooted our actual biases go, which come from our culture, how we are raised, or our closest circle, and then they have these, what they think are their belief systems, or what they think they believe, and they're putting it out there on social media, and they're fighting and arguing over things that they haven't researched, that they don't know for a fact that those things are actually true, and I don't know. That's the main thing, man. All the misinformation going on right now, and people just like backing up things so adamantly. And it's false, and it's not something that they even know that it's true or not. It's just an opinion. It's not even something that they've actually done any research on, man.
Well,
So
they're misguided conceptions.
Exactly.
Right? And they're being led down a path of, this is what's popular, this is what's not, and all of these people coming together and creating your opinion, based off of facts or their own ideas. But I think that the way society is today, they're not doing the homework and doing the research, and they're quick to take somebody else's opinion and not their own without the actual facts.
Like I kind of said before, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. That's what you believe, that's fine, but don't argue with somebody else and put them down and degrade them just because they don't agree with you. Like, they could be wrong. I'll look at them like, you're a buffoon, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
And I could say you're an idiot, and you can say I'm an idiot. We can be done there, but and then that's where it can stop, and like you said, there's no research on it. It's just, I feel this way, and if you don't agree with me, then I'm offended, and you're a bad person, and I'm going to attack you for. I was in Vegas a few weeks or a couple months ago with my crew, and there was an animal rights group that was there, and I'm eating a chili cheese dog. I'm not thinking twice about it. I'm just listening to what they say. I want to hear what their viewpoint is on things. And one of the guys started losing his mind on me, cussing me out. I'm looking at him. I said, dude, let me ask you something. Who says you're right and I'm wrong? Like, you're sitting here, I'm respecting what you have to say. I'm listening to you. I'm not arguing with you. I just want to listen to what you have to say. I don't agree with it, and that's fine. But you would have thought I killed his cat, and it was ridiculous. I'm like, dude, that's the great thing. Like I said before about this country is, I can think I'm right. You can think you're right. You can think I'm wrong. I can think you're wrong. And that's where it can stop. It doesn't have to sit there and degrade people and belittle and be hateful. And my guys are like, what's this guy's wrong? Like, I'm just trying to enjoy a chili cheese dog. It's horrible, but it was one of those things that if your opinion is different than somebody else's, then you're just a horrible person, and you play pool like.
You guys didn't see that.
We got to see, we heard it.
Yeah, no, we can't agree to disagree anymore. Like, you know, and nice. No one saw that, Eric.
Keep talking.
But
That's how I played in high school.
And like you said, we could have. It's okay to have difference of opinion, but don't defend an opinion that you know nothing about. And so many people I've ended up not debating on Facebook, but just talking to them. As soon as I start going a little deeper into what they feel is their belief system or what their opinion is, dude, they have no idea what the hell they're talking about. Most people, it's opinion of their friends, their circle, their mom.
What they see on social media.
What they see, or what they saw on TV, like, because the TV doesn't lie to us, right? Social media doesn't lie. Everything you see on TV and social media is absolutely true, 100%. And people believe it, man. Yeah. And it's lack of critical thought. The people do not use their minds. They don't.
I had a discussion with somebody I do a lot of advertising on Facebook. I have one of my products on there, and the guy was arguing to me about, I'm like, actually, you're wrong. This is why. Oh, you're a pro-Trumper. I go, what does Trump have to do with that says he had no comeback because I'm like, here's all the facts as to why you're wrong about what I'm selling here. Yeah. And this is why, like, oh, you're a pro-Trumper. I'm like, that just shows how simple-minded people are. It's simple-mindedness, and I got friends that are complete opposite parties that I am, and we're great friends, I'm like, hey, I see where you're coming from. I see where I'm coming from, and let's leave it there. Like even in the last election, I voted the opposite party because I believe in voting for the person, not the party.
Right.
It's funny because right before that, I get a text like, "Will you vote all Democrat?" I'm like, that's the most simple-minded way to do it too. Like, let's do your research, like you talked about before, and then make an educated decision. But nobody wants to make an educated decision. They want to do the easiest thing. Right. And then if you don't agree with them, then.
But would you say? Let me ask you this: would you say most people, they speak emotionally or educationally?
Ignorant.
Ignorance. I mean, it's emotionally. Actually, you know what? Can I? I just posted this on Instagram a couple days ago, and I would love to. What is it right here? It says, if you're arguing with someone who relies on emotion instead of logic, you'll never win, even if you're right. Right. And damn. Woo.
Ouch.
And that's usually what it is.
I said, oh, sorry.
Especially the more alcohol you consume, because your opinions get a little more
oh my gosh,
vocal.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, I mean, but isn't that the truth among this day and age anyway? Like, I mean, if you say, sometimes if you say something and it's like people, they're always saying, we want the truth, we want transparency. And then you're transparent with someone, and now you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Like, you're in a fight, or, so people really don't want transparency. They don't really want the truth.
No, they don't.
Right? I mean, they want to
be right.
Yes.
No matter what, they just want to be right.
Yeah.
And with social media, and it's funny, Mike Tyson has this saying. It says, social media has made it easy for people to disrespect others without getting punched in the face.
Oh, man.
Oh,
I'm looking at people like, you're sitting there running your mouth because you're on your computer, but would you say that to that person if they're standing right in front of you? And you wouldn't. That's what it comes down to. Is like it goes down to just having that respect for one another, realizing, like I have this saying, I see one race, the human race. Just because you're darker than me and you got lighter skin, you have different heritage, who's better? When I was an officer, I got called, oh, you're racist. I'm like, do you not know my name? Like, I have the most Mexican name in the world. Like, how am I racist against you? And that's the thing too. It's everybody wants to use that card when it's convenient, but it's like, I'm like, dude, it's just why see a race whenever literally we all breathe the same air, we walk the same ground, our bodies function the same. So just because we have different pigments in our skin, why is there that hate and that anger for that? Like my crew, I'm Hispanic, I got a white kid, a Mexican kid, and the guy that runs my crew now is black. We're the most diverse, and we have so much fun that there's none of that hate and anger because we all get along because we don't see the color. We don't see male or female or how somebody identifies. Like, I don't care how you identify. You treat me good, you're a good person. I don't care what your life. Some of my closest friends live an alternate lifestyle than me, and they're the most amazing dudes in the world. And I will do anything for those guys. So it's like, but it's those people that want that hate because they want to build their agenda. And people are like, you know what? Cool, do you want to believe that way? You like a different type of person than I do? Cool. There's no reason we have to hate each other. Yeah, and that's what I hate about it. Everything is so simple-minded. Everybody is so close-minded, and that's what's building the hate. And there's the media out there and certain organizations that want that hate there, because that's how they get their elections. That's how they get what they want. That's how they become further ahead in lives, because I can build on that and I can be successful. I can get what I want. Screw everybody else. I don't care who I am, but as long as I get what I want. And that's where I think we're failing as a country. We're failing as a human race. We're failing as a people, and we're failing each other.
I forget
Bullshit.
Right. I forget who said it, but it was some of the effect of, if you wanted to stop racism, stop talking about it.
Yeah, exactly.
And the reason why racism is so big in everybody's faces is because the media keeps propagating it. And of course, like you said, it's towards a certain goal.
Yeah.
It's a narrative they're pushing to move people to move in their direction.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and that's, oh man.
But I mean, wouldn't you agree that even as individuals, listen, would you agree or disagree that we live in a much, much softer age now? Like,
You can't say what you really mean.
you can't. You can't say things. I mean, if you say something wrong to somebody, you know, or if you try to talk to somebody about bettering themselves, it becomes an attack. There's no accountability to it. It's just an attack. It's not, hey, I'm telling you because, I had a friend tell me one time, Eric, I ride your ass because I care about you. I want to see you do good. Like, and you're just not going to be mediocre around me. Yeah. Like, if you want to live that kind of life, then you do it away from me. And it really resonated with me, right? Like, I mean, in terms of whatever it is, work ethic, you know, fighting for your dreams, you know, going after something that you want. I mean, I think so many people, they're terrified of failure, so they don't even try. They don't even try to do something because they're terrified of failing at it, right? Or they're terrified of what other people might say if they fail at it. Or they're terrified of, you know, what if I get there? You know, and I'll be honest, I've met a lot of people like this, especially in my business. People who are actually terrified of the success, you know? They're good, they know they're good, you know, but they're terrified of getting that type of success and what that success brings. I mean, the one question that people ask me all the time is like, how do you balance the sacrifice with the goal, right? And I feel like I'm on a different wavelength when I think about what I got to do to be successful. And for me, success isn't just about me, it's for the people around me. It's so that I have an opportunity to help people, so that I can, you know, the thoughts that keep me up at night are very rarely about me. The thoughts that keep me up at night they're about everybody else, and they're about how can I help this person or how can I help that person? How can we make what we're doing a success so that monetarily we can pull people out of their hole? You know, we can help certain communities, you know. But in order, a lot of people around you, they're cheering for you to do that, but then when the sacrifice even comes to them, then they don't want you. Then they're like, well, why, you know? I mean, for me, you know, a lot of the people around me who know me, they know I don't go to a lot of social functions. I don't, because I'm so focused, you know, from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to bed. It was funny because I was talking to one of my camera people a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about that. And I told her, I've given myself, now listen, I know this might sound a little morbid, but I've given myself an expiration date. You know, I've given myself that expiration date. And I'm by no means trying to play God, but I've given myself 10 years to do what I got to do and to be as successful as I can be, so that I can hopefully leave my children, my family, the people around me, something that they can build off of. The biggest fear in the world that I have is leaving this earth and not leaving anything for anybody. Like, that terrifies me more than anything. So, you know, I was telling her about this expiration date, and she, you know, and for all practical purposes, and she was probably right in doing so, but she was looking at me like I was completely out of my mind, because I told her, if I'm not where I want to be in 10 years to that date, that's a wrap for me. And it's not just quitting the business, that's a wrap for me. Like, I've given myself that expiration date. So, and it's like, but really with saying that, That's the fear that drives me to keep pushing harder and harder and harder, right? On the days that I don't feel like getting up at 4:30 in the morning, at the nights I want to go to bed at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock and get that 8 hours of sleep, even 4 hours of sleep. It's what makes me work through the weekends. It's what's made me miss birthdays and Christmases and Thanksgivings. But a lot of people don't understand that type of, they don't understand that type of drive. They don't, and it's not, and it's not being disrespectful to their beliefs or their drive. It's just not built that way. And for me, like, I don't know anything else because, you know, I was taught my whole life that the only person I could depend on was me. And so, like, when I'm around other people that don't feel that way or don't see things that way, sometimes it's hard for me to try to communicate with them and find a way to balance our relationship so that I don't sound crazy to them, right? But there's so many people out there who are they're just okay with just being okay. And there's so much more out there. There's, you know, I was telling this kid the other day who I've been talking to for a while, and his biggest goal is he wants to be in a gang. He wants to be in a gang because he feels like that's the only place he can get love. Like, he wants to be hard and this and that. And I was like, man, like, you haven't even been out of the city. You haven't even been out of the city. Like, there's so much of the world out there you haven't experienced. It's, you know, and he's like, well, you don't know what it's like on my block. I'm like, yeah, but you also don't know what it's like outside your block.
Yeah.
Like,
you can get yourself outside of that.
Right. Like, you could get yourself outside that, right? And listen, and I don't know what book it is, but there's a book about a boy on a horse, and the boy tells the horse, I can't see through the forest. Like, it's too crowded for me. And the horse said, but can you see the next step I'm about to take with you? If you could just focus on the next step I'm about to take, it's one step at a time. And, you know, and again, like, social media, going back to social media, I think it you know, sometimes it can be really deceptive because you see all these people, and listen, nobody's going to post the bad stuff, right? You know, you see all these people flaunting and flossing and living my best life, but you don't know what they're going through personally because they'll never put that out there. And that's what I'm saying. Like, we don't have, and the reason they're not vulnerable is because they know most people don't have any compassion towards it. Now, and that's the thing. Like, I'm okay if you got something to say and you need help with something and it's bothering you. Like, I even tell my people, let's talk about it. But what I don't want is I don't want you feeling sorry for yourself. And I don't want you coming to me consistently with the same problem. Like, let's figure it out. What is it as a mindset change that you got to make? Is it something you got to do personally or internally to get you through this, right? But you see so many people that are, you know, they really just, it's their crutch. And it's always something. I don't work out because of this, or I can't do this because of that, or I can't do, it's always something. It's like, can you imagine if you just took all that away? Like, just took those excuses out of the picture for a day, a week, and see what you can accomplish, right? Take the fear away from it.
It goes back to what you're saying. This one podcast, a real famous guy, Andy Frisella. Yeah. This dude has no BS approach to life, and he's got the saying says, successful people don't have a plan B. Whoa. They don't have a backup plan. They don't have, well, this doesn't work out, I'm going to do this. He's like, no bullshit. Successful people make that plan and they stick with it until they fulfill that plan. They never give up. Yeah. He was talking about when he first started First Form, that I think for like 10 years, they didn't make a sale. They were working in the negative for years and years, but he never gave up. Now they got the biggest, best brand in sports supplements out there, in my opinion. I think you'd agree too, because you know, you're pretty active in lifting too. And they've branched out to other avenues as well with this podcast, other things too. So that kind of goes back to not giving up, like, crap, this isn't working out. People are so quick to give up, so quick to give up. You know, I've had workers like, this job is hard. I'm like, dude, I was going to pay you $70,000 a year, and this is too hard for you? Yeah. Like, you don't understand how if you want great things, it's going to take time. Nothing's given. That's what, once again, it comes with social media, and they see these young kids that post a viral video or do this, and get all these likes and all these follows and all these sponsors, and that's what they want. That they want the instantaneous
microwave society right now.
And it has an expiration date. You talk about that's such a short-lived. Instead of building that solid foundation, I can't remember if it was Peter or Paul, an apostle, said, you build a house on sand, it's going to crumble. You build a house on a rock, it'll last forever. It doesn't. Who cares what this is up here? All this is bullshit, because this, you might make those millions of dollars, but if this down here isn't stable, if this down here isn't solid, it ain't going to mean anything. It's going to be short-lived success. It's going to be short-lived fame, and you're going to be, you know, we know several people that have been at the top of their game, and now they're sitting there couch surfing.
Yeah.
You know, it's because nobody wants to continue to work for that. Nobody wants to continue to earn that. Nobody wants to just hustle. I hate that word hustle, but they don't want to hustle. Nothing's easy.
No, they don't.
And we talked about it with our businesses too. Like it's taking me 12, 13 years to get where I'm going. I'm like, we were talking a conversation the other day. It's not going to stop. You know,
People talking about grinding and they're sitting at home at noon eating Lucky Charms and.
I like what Jim Rohn said. He's like, if you want to be successful, work harder on yourself than you do on your job, man. And like you said, or you were talking about foundation, because people lack that foundation, that belief system in themselves, and don't know to not give up. You know, don't know what those next steps are. Don't know to have faith in themselves. Don't know not to give up, especially when it gets hard. I forget who said it. He's like, "Oh, I love failure because either I forget how it goes. I forgot the quote. It's like I learned something. I forget how it goes, but yeah, man, people aren't invested in themselves. People aren't. We're just talking about like a couple of camera people about personal development. Like, dude, get into some books, read some books. You're talking about Andy Frisella, great podcast, real AF. Yeah.
Well, it's like they say, get off of Facebook and put your face in a book.
Right. Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And listen, I
don't like reading, so ebooks.
I don't like a lot of microorganisms or whatever, but one thing I've said for years, and I would say it like, I even have told people on my team, like, stand behind me and I'll lead the way. Stand beside me and we'll do it together. Stand in front of me and I'm gonna run you the fuck over.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Because like, sometimes you get these people where you're goal driven, like Austin, like you have many successful restaurants right now. That shit didn't happen overnight. And it didn't happen because you guys were just complacent about it and just, kind of mediocred your way through it. You had to bust your ass.
Yeah.
And you're still busting your ass.
You're still busting your ass.
Exactly, yeah.
And listen, it's not like you're in a community that singles you out all alone. You're in competition with hundreds of other restaurants, serving food, doing what they do, right?
Sure.
And there's no way you can get through that without having some type of manic drive,
sure.
Right? And it may come out in different ways, but it's like I tell people all the time, the number one ingredient you have to have for success is desire.
Desire and passion.
And the ability to overcome. Because you're gonna get knocked down. You're gonna get told no. I was just talking to a wrestler the other day that I'm working with, and he was like, I can't deal with rejection. It's hard for me to deal with rejection. Like, you can't deal with rejection? I was like, in the business I'm in, I've had 56 auditions in the past month and haven't gotten called back for one of them. But I still go into every audition with my mindset of, I'm gonna get this role. I'm gonna give it my best and I'm gonna give it, can you imagine being told no 56 times for something you wanna do? Like, no, no, no. Listen, I got told one time at an audition, I've heard it all, but I've never heard I'm too tall. And I got told in an audition, you didn't get it because you're too tall. That's the one I wasn't. That's the one I wasn't mad at. I was like, shit, because they were like, no, we want guys. I'm not even gonna say because ball buster over here. Always got a comment, right? But that was one I was actually happy with. I was like, damn, okay, like I'll take that. But my point is like, it's no matter how many times you get knocked down, what matters is how many times you get back up.
I personally believe, going back to the whole, everybody has an expiration date. Everybody does. But for me personally, I don't know what that is. So I'm going to live every day to my fullest, because I don't know nothing's promised tomorrow. And for me, the biggest thing is I want to make an impact. I want to make an impact on you, and anybody that comes in contact with me. Whether I know you or not, I'm a big believer in random acts of kindness. I'm the guy that's going to pull over on the side of the road and help the guy push his car out of the middle of the intersection that died. Or I'm going to help the lady who I see struggling with big bags of soil at Home Depot to put them in her car.
Right.
She's not going to know me, but the way that she remembers me as, wow, that was extremely kind of this person to go out of their way. Exactly. And that's how I live my life. Yeah. No matter what I'm doing, I just want to make an impact on somebody towards a positive.
Kind of building on what you're saying, like there's that phrase, and I hate it, and I'll tell you why. YOLO, you only live once. Bullshit. You live every day you wake up. Yeah. You only die once. Yeah. You know, so don't live your mind thinking today's my last day. Like, no, you have every time you wake up, it's new shit. I didn't get done yesterday. I'm gonna do it today. It's that, you know, it goes back to what you're saying. It's not wanting to stop and give up. So you realize that, like, I didn't get it right today. I can get it right tomorrow. You know?
Well, with that being said, we're going to wrap this up. We're going to take this conversation to the bar because Austin has got some new drinks he's going to make us today. All right, let's
That's the
do
impact
it.
you make on my life right there. Is these
Yes.
awesome drinks.
Yeah. Cheers. Cheers, by the way.
Right.
Man. Drink was amazing. Thanks, Austin. Absolutely.
All right, fellas. Well, welcome back to the bar. After those old fashions, I got to say that this Howler Head
Yeah.
kind of surprised me.
Pleasantly surprised.
Actually, I'm not usually one for flavored whiskey. I'm kind of a purist, and I love good Kentucky bourbon. But I honestly feel like this actually has something here in the bottle. So,
Could that be, let me ask you this though, could that be something in your bar?
yeah, I would definitely mess around with this. We promote creative freedom in our bars, and I know that I'd have a couple of bartenders that would enjoy this, and not just the bartenders, but I think that there's a guest perception of, you know, what this could and is,
Yeah.
could be and is. But I'm excited to play around with it a little bit more. So I'm going to make you guys another cocktail today.
Okay.
The old fashioned is one of those that you can change the variations of, adding different bitters and different syrups and different whiskeys. But the one that I'm going to make for you today is the highball. Highball is very similar. It's typically in a tall glass, ice, minimal ingredients, usually a spirit, a club soda, or a ginger ale with a little bit of citrus, maybe some bitters in there. So again, you can kind of change the flavor profile using different ingredients, building the same recipe in the same cocktail. So with the Howler Head today, I'm going to add a little bit of the same bitters that we used in the old fashioned because I felt like the flavors meshed really well together. And then I'm going to use some San Pellegrino, high-end sparkling water, but Topo Chico or even club soda works as well. A lot of people enjoy whiskey ginger as a highball too. But again, since this is a little on the sweeter side, I'm going to go just using some sparkling water so I don't add any additional sweetness. So.
What's this for? It's been sitting here all day. What is
So this is a shrub.
I love that stuff.
These are something that we make in our restaurants at Matucci's. It is a fruit and sugar based cocktail mix. Not only can it be used in cocktails, but it can be used in non-alcoholic cocktails, mocktails. Low ABV stuff is really popular in the market these days. You're starting to see more and more mocktails on these fancy cocktail bar menus for people that don't consume alcohol that still want to have something that is, you know, makes them feel a little bit better, like they're drinking something other than water or tea or lemonade. So this is our blackberry. This is something that can easily add into a highball, but probably not so much with the banana of this whiskey. So again, I'm just going to kind of use the same bitters that we used before in the old fashioned. This is the Angostura, again, very heavy with clove and cinnamon. So we'll put a few dashes of this in here. Typically I don't free pour, but with a highball, again, since you're diluting with sparkling water, I might have a little heavy hand on this one. So
I'm okay with that.
we'll make sure that they're good. Because you still want to get enough flavor of the whiskey and of the banana to mix in this cocktail. We'll make yours a little stronger.
Since you didn't drink your last.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, you got to catch up now. Ooh, that's how you know there's bubbles in it. You know?
That's nice. That's actually nice.
What made you choose that Howler opposed to something different?
Well, again, I think just I like trying new things, and I'd never heard of this before. I'm a big fan of UFC and Dana White, so you know I'll definitely
Why
give it
not?
a shot.
Yeah.
Absolutely, you know the marketing plays a part, but also the curiosity from a bartender standpoint. Again, I'm not usually big into flavored whiskeys, but you know, seeing what Fireball and some of the other flavored whiskeys have done for the market, I think that there's opportunity there. And again, you know, I'm not going to tell somebody what they don't or do like. So, there's always something out there for everybody. And for me, using my creative nature, I like to figure out something that even I will like with something I may not like.
Gotcha.
So we're gonna put a little lemon twist on this, do a little bit of citrus in there. Always rub it around the rim of the glass so you can get a little bit of that citrus in every flavor, in every drink. Using these iconic Coca-Cola glasses, which I found behind this bar. So Thank you to the hosts. Give this a little stir. You never want any ingredient just to be sitting on top of the cocktail so that the rest is not properly balanced. So I'll give it a little stir. There, fellas.
Looks good, man. Thank you.
Cheers to a Howlerhead highball.
Howlerhead.
Episode 3.
Dana White. Wow. Wow.
That's tasty.
Yeah.
That's tasty.
Fresh.
That's nice.
Fresh, easy to drink on a hot day, right?
Day like today, man.
Yep. I would imagine that we could probably polish off a couple bottles doing it.
Wow. That's really good. And what's funny is I'm not a big fan of like Pellegrino, but that's really.
Well, it's got that little bit of minerality in it. It's got small bubbles. And I think, honestly, it mixes really well with the highball.
Agreed.
Dang, that's really good. So, let me ask you this: when you make a cocktail like this, I mean, kind of off the cuff, do you try it first, or do you?
I like to think that I'm pretty confident and I know what I'm going to put in the glass. But, if you're making something new for the first time, all of my bartenders, if they're unsure about a cocktail, if it doesn't look like it's what it should in that glass, if it's short or if it's too tall, they probably added something that they shouldn't have, or imbalanced it the right way or the wrong way, or they left an ingredient out. I'm a very visual person, and so when I build cocktails, I know when I pour 1.5 ounces in this glass, I know what it looks like, or 2 ounces, or if I'm making 3 cocktails in a glass, I'm very visual and I know what it looks like. And if it doesn't look right, then I go back to the drawing board and think about what I did or didn't put in there.
Oh, all right.
But it's a skill, and I always tell people, like with bartending in general, if you learn the right way to do it, you can do it anywhere in the world. You can do it on cruise ships, you can do it for celebrities, you can do it for your friends, you can make livings off of it. I think that there's a misconception of the service industry, but I really think that, in our educational standpoint in our lives, I think that everybody should have to spend a year in the service industry. I think it really humbles people. You learn a lot. You learn a new respect for what people have to do on our side. A lot of people as guests just feel really entitled.
I was a busser in high school.
Oh yeah,
About as low as you can get, but once again, it makes you appreciate. It's one thing that.
Well, let me ask you: Would you agree that there's a big difference between a mixologist and a bartender?
I think so. I'm sorry, you're mixologist to us.
So that there's amongst the industry people, some people feel like the mixologist title is a little pretentious. Some people want to wear it on their shirt. So it's just kind of a matter what you want to be called or how you want to be referred to. And I think any bartender can be a mixologist. And I just think it's a little more crafty, if you will. I think if you're standing behind a bar and you're pouring beer and shots and whiskey cokes for people, you're a bartender. But if you're making foams and syrups and
Your own bitters.
your bitters and using jellification and the things that you might consider to be a mixologist, sure.
Let me ask you this: have you seen the movie Cocktail?
Oh yeah.
Be honest. What do you think about that?
So I think Cocktail is an iconic bartender movie, but it's more about the show and the life that bartenders can live. It's not so much about mixology. As a perfect example in that movie, when he's just starting, right, and he's behind the bar, and it's busy as hell, and somebody orders a Cuba Libre, and he's looking through the book, can't find what Cuba Libre is, and then he finds out it's a rum and coke. And he's just like, throws the book down, and he's like, I can't believe you didn't tell me it's a fucking rum and coke, and everybody's laughing at him. But, that's how bartenders learn. They learn these, tricks of the trade, and they learn, the little intricacy.
Well, it's like there's a difference between being a cook and being a chef.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, yeah. I often wonder, like, especially for, like, the cigar world, what would you call, like, an amateur cigar smoker?
Me?
Yeah, well, based on.
I feel like I hit that.
It's called the Austin Vincent Daniel. So
Yes.
Well, I think like anything, you develop a palate, and it's just like, people come to me and I want to learn about wine, but I don't like it, and so you tell people, you start with something that you might be able to palate that you like. Start with the Moscato or something kind of sweet that, tantalizes your palate a little bit. And then once Moscato gets too sweet, then you might start trying like a Vino Verde or a Pinot Grigio, something that's just not as sweet, but still has that, flavor of the grape, of the fermented grape. And then, you might try a buttery Chardonnay, and you just develop your palate to your gradually drinking, big Cabs and Chiantis and Aglianico and things that are just, you really have to develop a palate to enjoy. I think cigars are the same way. We all remember when we were young boys smoking on Swisher Sweets because the flavor was good and it kind of sweetened your lips a little bit, and you liked the fixation of puffing on a cigar. Yeah. I think it's very similar, but now look, smoking big boy cigars and the stuff that is, expensive and that the crafters put all the time and effort into, growing specific tobacco in specific soil to make sure that it provides the flavor and
definitely a science behind it too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I realized that when we were in Newport at the Cigar and Spirits event, just some of the makers that were out there, and this random one we never heard of that was Italian that you don't have to put in a humidor. And it put a hurt on old Eric there. He called me like, "Don't smoke it." He goes,
and listen, I consider myself a pretty seasoned smoker, and they gave us an Italian, and it literally looked like a pen. It's just it's real thin, it's long. And I'm like, oh, how cute is this little chick stick, And he was like, "You should smoke it now." I'm like, because I didn't want to be embarrassed. I'm like, everybody's holding a real stogie and you're going to hand me this? Like, no, I'm not going to smoke this now. But I was like, no, you know what? I'll appreciate this at home by myself. And boy, am I glad I did. 5 puffs into that, I looked like I had Ball's palsy. I was slobbering on myself. I was falling off my chair. Like, it was bad. Like, I'm not kidding you. It's been a long time since a cigar did me that way.
And what was the difference?
Well, and here's what's crazy. It's a cigar that they said that you don't have to put in the humidor. He was telling us a story of a guy who bought a box of them, forgot them in an old car, 2 years later found them, pulled them out, smoked. They were as fresh as the day he put them.
He said they might burn a little quicker, but other than that, it's going to be the same
He said you could smoke it, put it in the ashtray, leave it for a week, go back and light it up again.
Is it a preservation method or is it the tobacco they use?
I think it's a little bit of both. But let me tell you something. That thing put me on my ass. Like, like if I
was really rolled in there.
I'm telling you, if I wanted to be,
What'd you roll up in there?
If I wanted to be cruel, I'd give it to somebody like, go ahead and smoke this. I
It's a little one, a cute little dainty one, yeah.
No, listen, and it's a good cigar. I'm not gonna lie, it really is a good cigar. But you definitely have to build a tolerance for that type of stick. And it's been a long time since I smoked a stick like that really put me out. I did a cigar. I hosted a cigar social about 4 years ago, and I went and grabbed me a Java, a Rocky Patel Java, right? And the owner of the cigar club saw me and was like, "Give me that chick stick." And he gave me another stick that was like that long, that thick, and charcoal black. And I lit it up, and same thing, man. 3 puffs into that, I thought I was dying. The whole side of my face went numb. I started slobbering on myself. My boy was like, "Eric, what?" It was Quentin. Yeah. Quentin was like, "Dude, you are pale, and you got slobber all over the side of your mouth. What's wrong with you?" And I was and listen, because I'm a firm believer. Even with this cigar I just smoked, that thin one. Mm-hmm. Don't light a cigar and then not finish it. Yeah. You finish it. Yeah. So I finished it. I smoked that whole thing, and I would I'm
scared of it now. Let's stay in the humidor for a while so I get brave. Yeah.
I was gonna bring it for one of you guys today, but
I know. So we'll give it to Daniel.
Give it to Vince. I
already know. I got the same cigar. I got 2 of them. Yeah.
Well, see, that would be me being the rookie. I'd be like, "I'll take this little one here," not knowing, and then you guys would be laughing at me.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you'd be
We'd get to you after you made our drink. So
I'll tell you though, my dad, he's been a long time tobacco smoker, and he's starting to look a little bit more and more like George Burns. That with that stogie, and he inhales.
He inhales?
Oh yeah.
Cigars?
Cigars. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen, and still to this day he'll puff on it, and You know, I just don't know how he doesn't go green. You know, he's got his lungs have got to be blacker than your shirt, man. But, you know, he's still kicking. So.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely, and it's funny because like with certain.
Could you imagine?
Yeah, with certain sticks, I mean, I've really, I can, for me right now, like because I've been smoking for, some time now, I really pay attention to the wrap and I pay attention to the content of the cigar,
Sure.
and I know what I should be smoking and what I can't. Mm-hmm. And, I can smoke there's a couple of cigars, like a nice Cuban, a nice bold stick. I can, I like that. Cohibas, same way, like a good stick. The Padron right now, the Reserves, good stick. And they're a bold stick, but you can smoke them and not get any, after effect of it,
Sure.
So, I mean, I definitely think there's an art to it, just like, making drinks.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, I take the same approach to any types of spirits, you do your homework and you start to develop a palate for what you like. And for me, I love, whiskey as a general category, but within the category of whiskey, I enjoy good American bourbon.
Yes.
And you do your homework on the mash bill and, percentage of corn, the percentage of wheat, percentage of rye, the style of barrel, the type of barrel, the type of char in the
definitely a
barrel.
science behind it.
Absolutely, man. And that's how you kind of become brand loyal. Yeah. But again, there's so many of them out there, and there's something out there for everybody. And for me, as a bartender or mixologist, we were talking about this earlier, if I pour you a shot of 112 proof bourbon and you drink it neat, you're gonna make a face and you're gonna say, this is hot, you're not gonna really enjoy it.
Right.
So, but if you like the flavor of it, then I'm gonna put a nice cube in there. And I'm gonna give it a little stir so it dilutes just slightly. And as that ice cube dilutes, you're going to start to really taste it and enjoy it more because the burn is going to go away, but you're going to enjoy the flavor.
Yeah.
So that's why, these seasoned drinkers, you see somebody say, you get the old timer that comes to the bar and says, I want a Macallan 12-year with 2 cubes, and he knows that those 2 ice cubes are going to dilute just the right amount for him to really enjoy that whiskey.
Yeah.
And that's how you see a connoisseur, I mean, even the ice cubes that I use, I do a perfectly clear cube. Now they have molds where you can make the cubes and you get some of the impurities that just sink to the bottom of it so you still see it in the cube. The contraptions that I use, they suck all those impurities out so they freeze from the top down and it freezes those impurities out and you're left with just perfectly clear ice. Wow. And when you put something like that in your cocktail, you're not getting any additional flavor. You're getting the dilution and you're getting the chill and you're getting the flavor of the whiskey. It is as pure as it can get.
Kind of going back to what you said about mixologist and bartender, I honestly believe there is a huge difference. You guys agree. I love a good old fashioned, and Eric can account. I love good whiskey, or good bourbon too. When we have social events, I bring a nice bottle over every single time, and I've had old fashions in Vegas all the time. Just about anywhere I go, I have one, and by far the ones that you make on the show, I see the difference. I see the time you take in them. It's different. I went to a wedding this past weekend, and we had to tell the guy how to make an old fashioned. And it was horrible. I was telling him, I was like, man, I wish Austin was here. Like, come
should have called me, man.
Come sling some. But there's a difference, it's having that craft, and and some people, like you said, they should always work in the service industry. And they try to look down on bartenders, and you shouldn't, especially when it comes to somebody like you. I'm not sure exactly where you started, but you're a multi-business owner now, and you are a master in your craft, and it shows with the knowledge and how you do stuff. And simple as an ice cube. Sure. Nobody. We go to Allsup's and buy a bag of ice and throw it, and we think that's fine because that's what we're accustomed to. But when you take those extra steps that a mixologist would do, or like a chef compared to like a line cook or something, there's those little details that make all the difference. Same thing with cigars. We talked to Dan with the La Serena cigars, and he's explaining their process and how he actually goes down to Mexico, right?
Yeah.
To Mexico, so many people, I'm trying to keep them all, and how he picked out his tobacco, he picked out his binder, he actually has every single part in his cigar, so he knows, I'm not going to put this out unless I like it, unless it's something that I can put my name behind. And that just kind of goes to the craftsmanship between anything quality with the type of business that we're into, putting a quality product out there, and just people that settle for less. Because people do settle for less, and they don't know the difference until they've had a good cocktail, a good steak, a good anything, But that's where but people, once again, are afraid to go out of that realm, pay that extra money, because you could have, I've had Wagyu steaks are $30 an ounce, and I've had a
Choice ribeye that.
yeah, from Walmart, you're like, yeah, I can definitely tell the difference. But it's one of those things, just like anything, everything's got a craft, everything's got a right way and wrong way of doing it. And just kind of going back to what you said, you appreciate those things a little bit more once it's done right. Right.
Well, the details are just such an important aspect of this specifically. And something a perfect example is how the lemon twist, right? How many times have you gone into a cocktail bar and the guy peels the lemon twist and he's cutting it and he's spinning it and he's doing all this stuff with it, right, to make it look really pretty, and then he sets it on your glass, right?
Yeah.
For me, the most important thing in that twist is the oil in that peel. You can taste the oil in this cocktail, right?
Yeah.
And it binds all of that stuff together to really make that cocktail what it is. It's the same thing with an orange twist and an old fashioned. Yeah. So I teach my bartenders one way, but I see so many doing it the other way, where they're all that stuff, all that goodness that's in that oil or in that peel, they're just twisting out and then they just put it on there. And that just breaks my heart. But again, there's so many people that don't realize that, until they're taught that and notice the difference of what that is versus the way that they might be doing it.
Right.
And again, that's just one minute detail in a whole world of craft cocktailing.
Right.
So that's one of the things that would separate a bartender and a mixologist.
Right. Well, with that being said, to wrap things up, again, I'd like to thank you guys. Toast.
Absolutely.
Great conversation today.
Cheers. Cheers.
And until next time, gentlemen.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Sounds good. Again, thanks for the cocktails.
Anytime.
Awesome. Perfect.
You're invited back on the next one.
So if we learn from anything from today's episode, it's that, there's a lot of things that are, can sometimes be misconstrued or misperceived, when you're on social media. And all that I'm going to say is that, just be yourself, be true to who you are. There's a lot of things going on right now that kind of make you feel like if you're not living up to social media standards, you're not living at all. But that's not the truth at all. Stay focused on what you want, fight for your dreams, and, listen, every once in a while, take a break. Cheer to yourself. Be easy on yourself. I think sometimes we get so caught up in the things that we're not doing that we don't realize the blessings that are right in front of us because of the things that we are doing. And every day you get an opportunity to prove that, every single day. And, and being easy with yourself, also understand that, things aren't always going to go your way. And even if they don't, that doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're trying. Because, we live in a world today where people are so quick to give up on their dreams. They're quick to give up on themselves. And just celebrate yourself more than anything. Today we had some awesome cocktails made. We got to hang with some great friends. We're around great people, and sometimes we take that for granted, and we shouldn't. And if anything else, the next time you're on social media, try complimenting somebody, even if you don't know them. Give someone a compliment. Extend kindness through the keyboard. Don't always think that you have to offer an opinion that even if you don't agree with someone that it matters, right? Like, just be good to people. And trust me, the kinder you are to people, the same kindness will be reciprocated right back to you. And every day you get that opportunity, don't ever let that opportunity slide by, right? Always give what you want to get back. Cheers.
Feeling, but you know this they have to be. Baby, tell me what you want now. I'ma always be your gravity. What you need, baby, I'ma hold you. Baby, I'ma hold you down. Baby, I'ma hold you down. Baby, I'ma hold you down. Yeah, hold you down. Yeah, hold you down. Yeah. I guess it's just results when you doing the work. We let it out, we bet it out, set it out, then we search. And if you put it on the line, you know what it's worth. That's why we align like the universe. I'm tripping on the power, on words, a little shortage. I'll always come around. Ooh, we'll orbit, ministrating, debating with feelings we keep in the storage. And we falling back naturally, we never had to force it. Gazing on the stars, thinking hard how the nights get. There's so many stars out, but there's nothing like this. And when you see me twinkling, baby, just start pointing. So I know I'm always across your mind like ointment. And when we talking home, break a pencil, appointment. We get it in a hurry, other words, we getting jointed, girl. Remember, you don't need none of them. When you dark out, look out and know you one of them. And think we're brave, hit